Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily story with a chapter from one of my novellas. Before I start today's chapter, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this book and any of my other fiction, then they're all available from all major ebook retailers. You can order the paperback and hardback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore and local library if you requested. Also, if you want the AI generated audiobook, then you can get it from selected audiobook platforms and library systems like Kobo, Spotify, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Baker & Taylor, Biblioteca and Overdrive. Now, here's today's chapter. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did writing it.
Chapter 1. The 22nd of December 2023. Canterbury, England. 12:05. Private Eye Bettie English had always loved how amazing, wonderful and brilliant the Canterbury Christmas markets were as she went along the long cobblestone high street, with the huge red, black and green brick and glass buildings that made up the high street were covered in tinsel and great decorations that really made Betty love the holiday season. There were immense crowds of old and young, large and small, tall and short people in all sorts of great-looking jeans, black overcoats and cream coats as they went around the little market stalls, hoping to find their next great Christmas present. Betty was really glad she had already gotten all of her presents sorted, except one or two, but she wasn't that worried. Betty was walking behind two elderly people who were shuffling along in their heavy black coats, and Betty really wished they would hurry up, but she was just enjoying the atmosphere. The sweet aromas of mulled wine, brandy and caramel filled the icy cold Friday afternoon air that made the taste of Christmas form on her tongue, and Betty was so excited about the big day coming up. Loud music was playing over the stalls, and the delightful singing of carolers made Betty's heart fill with Christmas cheer, and she really did love the markets. Everyone was just so happy, cheerful, and everyone was having such a great time. And it was Christmas when Canterbury really became alive, and Betty loved every single moment of it. "Mummy," a little boy said. Betty smiled down at her pram, as her little two angels Harrison and Elizabeth were looking at all the pretty lights, sounds and waving randomly at strangers as they went past. Betty's sister Phryne was walking next to her in a very long black overcoat, black trousers and white blouse. She didn't know why her sister looked so formal compared to Betty's jeans, black hoodie and leather jacket, but she was just glad to have her sister back. It had been ages since Phryne had come out of therapy that helped her deal with all the anger and rage she had about her ex-husband leaving her with a kid she never wanted, and Betty couldn't deny her sister had been a bitch to her wonderful nephew Sean and his boyfriend, but Phryne seemed to be better now. And Betty was slightly willing to let Phryne back into their lives, and she really hoped she wasn't going to regret it. "Mummy," Elizabeth said. "Yes, beautifuls," Betty said. "Look," Harrison shouted as he pointed into the crowds, but she had no idea what he wanted. "It's Santa." Betty laughed as a very large red Santa drifted through the crowd on the back of someone, because it was a decoration and not the real thing. "We'll go and see the real Santa later," Betty said. Harrison's bottom lip twitched. "Not all Santas are real." Betty laughed when something else made a noise, and that thankfully distracted the kids long enough for Betty to pop forward the little rain cover so the kids might forget about the question. They were only 15 months old, and Betty loved them more than anything else in the entire world. And she was so looking forward to seeing the look on their faces when she gave them their presents on Christmas Day morning. Betty's phone buzzed, and Betty pulled over inside the doorway of a closed shop and answered a video call from her nephew Sean, who should be about to fly back from a 3-week holiday to Australia that they had done to see some university friends. "Hi Auntie," Sean said, his tasteful and stylish pink highlights in his blonde hair blowing slightly from the air conditioning on the plane. "Hi Sean," Betty said, "are you due to take off?" "Any moment now. We'll land early tomorrow morning, and then we can spend Christmas together. We look forward to it." Betty smiled as Sean moved the phone slightly so she could see a very burnt Harry was already sleeping on the plane. See you soon, Sean said as Betty heard an announcement from the pilot. Betty said she loved him, and she ended the call and looked at Phryne. Are you coming for Christmas? Her sister looked shocked at the question. You would allow me after everything I've said and done? Betty wasn't going to lie and say that she was thrilled about her sister shouting, berating and bullying her own child, and Betty herself for years. And she was a nasty drunk, but she felt like Phryne had changed, so she was willing to give her a fresh start. But before Betty could say anything, a firm hand grabbed her shoulder. Betty swung around but stopped when she saw the very friendly and frowning face of Agent Daniels, MI5, wearing a very black trench coat, business suit and black shoes. Betty instantly knew things weren't good, and she was sure she wasn't going to see any more of the market today. Miss English, Daniels said, we have a situation. There's going to be a terror event in the next few hours that would ground every single plane all over the world, and grind the world to a halt. Betty smiled, as the very idea of that sort of high-stakes case excited her a lot more than she ever wanted to admit. But she already knew that the stakes couldn't be higher, because if planes were grounded, then that meant Sean and Harry wouldn't be flying home for Christmas.
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested, and you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteleyverse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.